I'd like to call to order the Ramsey-Washington Metro Watershed District's July board meeting. The first order of business, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Seconds?
Second.
Awesome. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving forward to item number 3, the consent agenda. Remember, all items are going to be approved, but we'll have time for just discussion questions. If it's just educational or clarity, definitely follow up afterwards. So do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Perfect. Discussions. I just had comments on the payment progress stuff. I saw that there was some additional content added in terms of the original contract price and bids on several of them. I appreciate that. So if we can continue doing that, that would be great. That's the only comments I wanted to. Oh, and one last question on page 51, I believe it is on the change order. Change order 1 for the Maplewood Toyota. There was a discrepancy between the email versus the amount of the change order. I just want to double check that's not that.
No, and in fact, if you look at the cover, let's see, on page 47, it indicates there that the total cost of the replacement is split between the contractor and owner and all points left. So that's why
Statement. Thank you. Any questions, discussions, etc. for the consent agenda items? Wonderful. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay. All abstained say abstained. Moving forward to visitor visits, item 4. We do have a full house. Does anyone wish to have a visitor comment?
After
After you. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. I was kind of figuring you'd come join me.
Don't count this against my 4 minutes. This is about 15 years of working on Savage Lake. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Savage. If you go by coming in, it's not Savage Lake anymore. It's what you guys call a mark. This here was back in 1963 when the city was working on getting Kellogg High School and what they had to do to it. And this here came from Fred Mimmer, who was the city attorney at the time, August 7th, 1963. The council wishes to preserve the lake at its highest reasonable level, considering all properties around the lake, and wishes to preserve the lake as a body of water and to prevent it from becoming either a menace by reason of flooding or a nuisance by becoming a swamp. And I don't think there should be any variation from that. If anybody wants to see that thing there, that's what I would like to see, is get that lake back to what it used to be. This was from a few years ago. As you can see, this is the west side. That's all lily pads. This is the east side. When you go out here, look across the road, get just down the way past the cemetery and the church, you'll see that it's lily pads from here to there to here to there. I know where the lily pads came from. I know when they started. I've got 6 different witnesses that know how that got there. I've been talking with Cliff Europe years ago, and I got this from Eric from here, Eric Court. Tells me that the lily pads don't want to go deeper than 3 feet in their water. If they're left there longer, they will get going there.
It's just a culvert.
Pardon?
It's just a culvert.
I guess I didn't understand what you're saying, but the lily pads are going a lot more than that now. We did get approval to rodeo in the middle of the west side. We killed out some of them, but it didn't do anything. They're back and there's two problems. One,
Same one.
is the lily pads. I met with a fellow that from the DNR that knows all about lily pads. He says, if you got white flowers, you can't buy them. Well, I think they are white flower because those lily pads were put in the lake. Went from Bachman's or Lenders, they were dug out of another lake. But if they're not natural, they shouldn't be here. I've talked to several different people here. To get the lake level back, when I came out here in 1954, or in 1974, I talked to the little guy across the street. And he told me the water across the street from me was 8 to 10 feet. If you go out there now, you won't get past your waist, you can walk across that entire lake. I've got a letter in here from the DNR and the Department of Transportation. Both of them walked out on the deltas, but the delta over by me, which there's something big going on there. The pipes have exploded, it sounds like. I don't know what it is. But you can walk out, and I walked out with the guy that lived next door. You walk 60 feet and you're still on a sand delta. And that lake is not sand, that lake is a mud hole. But the water level got changed when the outlet was changed. I've got pictures of the outlet, if probably not. Some of these three sections. Two of them are the lake and are from 1957. The 1985 graduating class from St. John's School, and that's Savage Lake right there. So you see how the lily pads, you can spot those there. Over the years, when they built Kellogg High School, they knew there was going to be water coming from there, so they piped it out so it comes to cross underneath Piedmont, underneath the Sioux Line Railroad into Savage Lake, and come over here. They knew that it would flood Savage Lake. So this was what was built. And at one time we had two people out here that did the maintenance for Little Canada, Roger Glanzer and Vern Montgomery. Roger mentioned more than one time, if we're together with him, I gotta go take a board out of the dam. And there was a one time set up so that there was a bracket to put boards in. So the water was above this pipe. And when it got up to high enough that it was getting to the high water mark, or trying to infringe on property, he go over and pull the board out, and they were actual physical boards that controlled the level of this lake. And then we had Harley Milner come in, and if you can see this picture at the top, that was a grate that they would pull down, raise it up, whatever. The city's maintained that for many years. About 2 doors down from this, he maintained it for some years. He got purpled up and couldn't do it anymore, so he just left it open. At that point, the water doesn't come into that lake fast enough. They could never fill this pipe. And the city complained that there was, and I don't know who else, it's in here, who complained about this getting plugged. If your water level is here and your pipe is here, your trash is going to flow into it. The way this was designed, it was designed when the water was 898 or 899, it would be abundance. All your trash came up on the shore. The water came down below. So you got no trash. You didn't have plugging. There was no reason to put a weir. This thing sat open for about 5 years, with rusted open. But the people came in and changed it, said they looked at the vegetation around it, and they took the high water mark that they were seeing on trees, cattails, etc. Well, when it's been down for at least 5 years, that's what you're gonna get. If you plug this hole and let it fill up, you'll find out where that ordinary high water mark is.
Could you help me with that? Giving you one for me, it's good. Could you remind me your name? Could you remind me your name?
Rockney, wait,
Rocky. Hey, Rocky, if you were to summarize what you're asking for, is it about the greenery in the lake? The flora in the lake? Or is it about the structures?
there's two things. Restore the lake to being a lake. There was a fellow had a float plane before the freeway came to it and flew off of that lake. But like the city said, and the attorney for the city said back in what was it, 74, so right there, 73. Keep it as a lake, keep it as a body of water.
And Tina, I'm not as familiar with Savage. What is Savage Lake?
So it's technically a wetland. It doesn't meet the parameters of a lake system. So we've always managed it that way. There was some outlet repair that was done in the early 2000s. And then there was an elevation raise on that lake shortly after that was done. But the outlet went back to, when we installed the new outlet, it was put back at the elevation that the old outlet was at. And then it was raised up after that.
But the lake, when you guys put in that weir that's over there, that's the lowest point on that pipe. It's impossible to get enough water at one time to fill that pipe.
Yeah, Savage Lake doesn't have a very large or very big drainage area. It's a smaller drainage area. But we have, and as far as the lily pads go, that, you know, as you said, you've talked to the DNR about that, and that is in the DNR's purview, not in ours for management.
But they're not actually, just showed you pictures.
Well, they are a native species, and that's why the DNR.
1957 pictures that I showed you,
Well,
that other picture.
This isn't really a back and forth,
No,
so,
that's-
you know, I can
What
say,
I'd like to do is get together with somebody that can take a look at what I put together in 15 years. There's two problems. One, the lily pads, and two, is getting that lake level. Everybody that lived on either side of that lake used to have a little dock. There was, I don't know how many little paddle boats that they had out there. The DNR stocked that lake. People, Virginia Smith, she lived across the street. It was a house, and it became a bar, and they moved across the street. Her dad used to go there to get water to wash clothes. It was that clean. Not saying it's dirty now, but I'd like to talk to you guys to say we have two problems that should be fixed.
Do we have Rocky's contact information?
yes, and Rocky, you and I have met and talked about this over the, just about every year since I've been the administrator, so I'm not sure that we have any new information to really give back.
Well, your information tells it level where it's at right now, and it's conducive to growing only lilies. The current FEMA map shows the lake level at 898.
That's,
FEMA's kind of knows about lake levels, et cetera.
well, they get their information from us, that's the high water level.
So why is it 5 feet lower than
Yeah,
the?
that-
So we're not gonna, so
So
I
I here, no, I would like to get a meeting set so that 2 of you, 6 of you, however many, would sit down and talk with me at length about this. I've been at it 15 years and built in here I got from Darren Torrance. He stepped on a pipe alongside the Gopher building, said it's illicit discharge. And I haven't talked to her since then. She returned my email, she returned my phone call.
She's no longer our hydrologist, she was our DNR hydrologist, but Dan Stone is
How
our.
come I got cut off?
well,
She cut off, her foot went through the pipe. And it's an illicit discharge from there, from the Gopher building.
have you shared this with us?
I tagged it, sure, with everybody.
How about the following, we can talk, I know Tina and I coordinate some of these things, we can figure something out. Appreciate the concern that you voiced there, and it does look like you've done your homework, appreciate that as well.
You want everything. deceased representative.
Oh, yes, Beth.
That stuff, yes, so I did a good job. I'm not getting anybody that can do it. But when I initially started, I was told to DNR. Then they said, go see the city. The city's the one that put that drain pipe in. They don't have any permits for that. We have the city maintenance workers regulated the flow. Not you guys, but they did.
I completely appreciate it, Robbie. I think we have some information, I know Tina has your contact information. Let's follow up with it in that way. There's a lot of things that you said, it looks like you've done a lot of homework there, and we can revisit some of the details, because it sounds like there's a history, and forgive me, I just wasn't around at those points in time, so. That,
Let me add one thing to it. There was
okay,
4 boys and 2 people who live on the lake saw the woman plant those. It looks like she used a pallet to make her dock. What she wanted was to get lilies around it and she could paint it. And if you saw the inside of that house, or have you seen the picture of the screen?
yeah,
There was a tree in their front yard that she carved that out. And the neighbors of the north says, every time I look up, I live in the window, I look. But we found the rod and it's gone. But she was one of the planted it. The boys were over there with their bats and a bunch of crab apples and batting them in there. That's where the lily pads came. And if you look at the west side of Savage, it's not the lily pads. If you go that way, you'll look at the east side, and it's completely filled. If you take time to go across here to Jarvis Creek, you will see the lily pads. If you go farther down the pond, it's full of lily pads.
so we'll walk those.
And keep going till you get to Jarvis, and you'll see the west side is coming in with lily pads. And if you go down the other end of Spoon Lake, there the lily pads are, and as you go across the highway, there they are in Keller Lake. These things came across the street from me, that's where they began. They might be wild trees.
We'll Val and I will get together and we'll be in touch with, okay?
I can't comment on the conjecture with the location, but yes, we got it.
Yeah, take anybody who wants to listen, and anybody's got power to say, let's fix it.
Thank you, Robbie.
All right. Let you know what I'm about, fly by night. If you've ever been out here at the end of August, Canadian days. I put that together. That was mine, in 1975. We did it so next year we could have it for the centennial. And if you go up Little Canada Road, you get there by the shopping center. That's why they want to put us homes there.
We have somebody, our attorney online. Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, this is the district's attorney, and the board is being very generous and kind with their time, but visitor comments are limited to 4 minutes. And at this point, they've allowed you almost 20. So I believe there's a plan for meeting with you, and Val and Tina will follow up. Thank you. They are going to move on with their agenda now.
If you go to Little Canada Road, not to interrupt it, you'll see a Veterans Memorial. And there's 6 kids on there for the Vietnam War. That was my next project from Canada. I want to make this one my final and third one to improve Little Canada.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Right.
Okay, item number 5, regulatory programs.
Yeah, so Mary's gonna cover, Nicole's online, but Nicole will be starting her leave coming up probably by the next meeting. So Mary, she's been doing a great job training in Mary, and Mary is gonna take this meeting.
Yes, so we did have one permit that was approved with the consent agenda, the Women's Life Care Center. So feel free if you have any questions about that one, I can answer those. And then we do have the monthly regulatory program memorandum with our violations last month, our coordination meetings and trainings, and then just some kind of project updates with all the kind of recent large rain events this past month.
Any questions for Mary?
No, just a comment that I do appreciate the continued inclusion of these photos. It helps really and helps me understand better what good practices are.
They have a question just on how the conversation in the Heights, with the city of St. Paul.
Yeah, so we've been having a lot more, I'd say, frequent communication with the city of St. Paul for the Heights. There's just a lot of activity going on out there, and it's a very large site. So we've just been talking about how to coordinate our enforcement. And actually, Andrew with the city of St. Paul has been coming out to the inspections with me. And then we also joined Bolton and Mink, who is the Port Authority's construction consultant, and so we all walk it together so everyone's on the same page. That's been really helpful. He's been coming out the last couple times, and it's nice just to be on the same page as St. Paul so we can know what to do for enforcement thereafter.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Any further comments? Permit program? Awesome, moving forward to the stewardship grant program. Ashley, is that you?
Yep. Not too much to say. We've got a few less applications this year or this month. And we're just past halfway in the year, and we've just budgeted or allocated just over half. So looking good to continue going through the year of projects.
Any questions on the stewardship grant?
Are there any additional that are kind of in the pipeline?
There's a lot in Ramsey County that are in like design still. So we'll see how many get pumped out. They had some staff turnover at the county. So they've been down to one design on the activity. But they're pumping out as many as they can, we'll see. So no big ones specifically that I've been around. That's all ones.
Thank
you.
Okay. I always get confused sometimes with the 3 stars.
So many stars.
No, I like it. Whatever.
We find new symbols, those were just those were in there, so.
Good. You're good.
Val, before we go on, there is somebody online. I just want to make sure they weren't here for visitor comments. Ayani, if I said that name correctly. Ayani, are
Yes,
you?
you did. I am here. No, I was just, this is the first meeting I've listened in on and was just checking out the process.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't recognize SW either.
It's me.
And Abby is here for the management plan, I'm assuming. Abby Shea.
Yes, that's correct.
Thanks, Abby.
Awesome. So why don't we transition to item number 7, the Ramsey-Washington Metro District 2027 plan kickoff. This section, I believe we open to the public or after the presentation.
Yeah, Greg has just a short update on what we're here to do today. And I don't know if Jen, if you wanted to say, well, at least introduce yourself too after Greg gives his presentation. Let's start there. You can share your screen. Everybody see that okay on your devices? Otherwise I can turn my computer to.
Yeah, I just have a real brief presentation here. So the managers have seen this before, but that this is the official initial planning / public kickoff meeting for the Ramsey-Washington 2027 plan update. Just real briefly, summarize the plan update process, talk about the engagement activities that have been performed to date, remaining engagement activities. And then there'll be an opportunity for folks in attendance to share any information or thoughts on priority issues, either Abby or Jen, or also any of the managers who participated in any of those engagement events thus far who would like to share any major takeaways or thoughts on that. I don't know to the extent that you've had an opportunity to discuss those in the past, so if that's already been done, then you don't need to redo that, and then I'll just go over the next steps for the plan update. Real quick, the plan update process is three major pieces. There's an initial information gathering and engagement. Then we take that information to develop the plan before going through a formal review and approval process. Those are some of the sub steps that go with that. Timing wise, 2025 is dedicated primarily towards information gathering. Towards the end of this year and through next year, we'll be developing the draft plan based on that input. And then beginning in late 2026 and into 2027, that'll be the formal review process. This is a schematic of how we've structured that engagement efforts, starting with the plan update notification, something we have to do as required by statute. Send out a notice that says, hey, we're updating our plan, please provide information that you'd like included. That information was also with the information request to cities that led to a public works forum. Our city staff attended and shared information with us. We also had workshops with staff, managers, community advisory committee, and recently launched a GIS-based survey at Waterfest. There's this public meeting, and then there's also ongoing engagement. Exam Associates is leading a separate engagement effort, which the plan update is kind of piggybacking on as well. All of this will be compiled into kind of a summary memo. It's going to go to the board, at which point we'll have to absorb all of this and say, okay, we're establishing our priorities for the plan update. But we reserve the right to change that in third plan. The information that we've gotten so far, we did receive input letters back from 8 of the recipients that we sent it out to: the City of North St. Paul, City of Woodbury, Bowser, the Department of Health, Department of Natural Resources, Department of Transportation, the Metropolitan Council, and Rice Creek Watershed District. And we had workshops with the Public Works Forum, Community Advisory Committee, staff and managers. And this image here is just kind of a snapshot of the types of information that we gathered at those workshops, with a lot of brainstorming and building off of ideas from others. This is just a snapshot of that survey that managers helped facilitate at Waterfest. We got for 80 responses, people sharing their both concerns for the watershed and their strengths. Parts of that information be part of the inputs into the overall issue identification. A lot of people had a lot of positive things to say about the watershed in addition to concerns, which was nice to hear. Here's where we're going from here. The survey is ongoing. There's also the ongoing engagement with the partner at partner and community events. This public kickoff meeting, all of this leading to that engagement summary document, at which point managers will have a big workshop to try and prioritize those issues, help inform the plan writing. And then we'll take that information back to the plan TAC. The plan TAC being comprised of all of the cities within the watershed, state review agencies, adjacent watershed management organizations, and other technical partners. We'll take that information back to them to get some additional input on how that aligns or doesn't align with their priorities, and get some more specifics on that. After that, we kind of go through the process of developing the plan itself.
With those that we're engaging, how many are in the planning phase?
Some of the other watersheds are either recently
Or more of the stakeholders.
Stakeholders?
Yeah.
When you say in a planning phase, you mean like going through the planning process themselves? With respect to the cities, all of the cities are going through, or they haven't started yet, but they will be in the next few years updating their comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
So the timing is such that they will be beginning to develop their water management plans, their local water management plans, towards the end of our planning process. So it's good timing in the sense that if this plan necessitates changes to their plans, because that is something you can do. You can specify in your plan things that must be incorporated, or things that they must do as cities. And so it's good timing in that it will precede the development of their plans. they may not have thought about all of the issues that they need to do for their plan update process when we're asking for that information.
Okay.
But I think the major stuff, it'll be on their radar.
Thank you.
And so that this is sort of the remainder of the engagement process, after which we go through plan writing. And during plan writing or plan development, we will still be doing engagement. We'll be going especially back to that plan TAC group of the cities and state agencies at various points during that process. The one that's shown here is kind of after establishing those priority issues, but also as we're developing goals, and then in developing an implementation program, we'll be looking for their input and reactions to that as well. So at this point, I would open it up to anybody who may be in attendance who would like to share thoughts on their concerns with respect to stormwater and natural resource management. How involved the district could be in those events, and if there's specific resources that are a priority to your organization. I know Abby from MDH is on the line. Abby, if you have anything that you want to share, we do have your response to the notification letter, but if you want to provide any context or share anything with respect to planning, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see me or not, but I just turned on my camera if you want to see what I look like. But my name's Abby Shea. I'm the Metro Area Planner for Source Water Protection at the Health Department. I've been in this role about 2 years, and recently our department has decided that we want to place more, we want to be actively engaging with the watersheds more than we had in the past. And kind of what that looks like is not us coming in and saying you need to be doing all this, but just providing recommendations and just making sure that we're there as a resource for the watershed and any technical assistance you may need. So I won't go into too many details because you have my letter there. But kind of one thing that we're focusing on a lot is stormwater management in those drinking water supply management areas, those protection areas for drinking water, and trying to make sure that we're all on the same page. We don't want to overly limit because we know we need to manage stormwater, but just being mindful that we're not exacerbating any groundwater quality issues as well. So that's just a little context, I guess, around my letter, but I don't necessarily have any specific concerns to add that weren't in the letter, but just looking forward to getting to know folks more. Sorry I wasn't able to make it in person tonight, but if there's ever anything that you think the health department may be able to help with, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I'll add one nice thing that Abby included in her letter was identification of funding sources for cost share and partnership opportunities, which is something that we have not necessarily taken advantage of in the past. Jen, do you want to add anything at our Bowser Board conservationist?
Interim.
Our serving.
Yes, good evening, managers, staff. Yes, my name is Jen Dulum. I am the Board of Water and Soil Resources Board Conservationist. I've been in this role less than a year and a half, and am your interim staff person. Hopefully here throughout the development of your plan. And my position is to shepherd you through this process. I will be the one bringing this plan to the committees and to the full Bowser board, here to answer any questions, making sure that you meet all the state statutes and rules, and so that everything, checks all the boxes, so that this is an easy process, so that we can, make it as seamless and as streamlined and easy for you. And any questions that you have throughout the process, I am your resource for all of that. So anytime there's anything that you need for on your project.
Thank you. The next steps for plan development, we're going to continue with that partner engagement through those community events, summarizing the results of the initial engagement, and establishing those priority issues before we get to actually writing the plan itself. Again, until the plan is adopted and approved, nothing is final, so even though we're talking about this as a prioritization of issues. Sometimes those priorities shift as we get into design and implementation. You know, when it comes to, once you figure out what you actually want to do, maybe you realize something maybe is a higher priority than you thought, or less of a priority than you should. So, everything is fluid, but we need a little bit of direction before we can start to develop that.
Anyone else that was online that was interested in speaking to this issue? Making sure I didn't miss anybody.
Yeah, I do have a question. When you're talking about engagement, I'm assuming public engagement, and will you be utilizing the district councils to broadcast?
Yes, good question. Can you identify yourself and so we have it
Yeah,
for the minutes?
I'm Yanni, and I'm actually the interim director at District 1.
Oh, great. Thank you for joining us. Yes, Lauren Hazenson, this is Tina Carsons. I'm the administrator here. Lauren Hazenson is our communications and outreach manager, and she has been meeting with district council offices. So I'll make sure she gets in touch with you.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Greg. If I recall correctly, there's a good list of the community engagement events in the communication section.
Yeah.
Several that invite board members to participate.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's a busy time of year for that right now.
Yeah. Wonderful. Moving forward to action items. Action item 8A. Back to you, Gina.
Yeah, so actually I'm gonna pass it to Erin.
Oh, that's to Karen.
We'll do the
Good dish.
bid award for.
Oh, yeah, okay, great. Pull up the request for action. Okay, so yeah, we have 2 bid openings that happened just last week that we wanted to present. The first is the Coleman Creek flood risk reduction project, and you saw the that project at the June 2025 meeting. So you can see the bid opening results on page
83.
Yeah, 83. There were 2 bidders, and these are somewhat familiar names, more or less that bid on this. And I'm going to pull up some notes that I got from Brandon, who had some talking points here. So New Look Contracting was the low bid, and they frequently bid on district projects and have not been winners for quite some time, but they're a frequent name in the bid list. They were the second lowest bid for the Wabasso project, which is the other project we're talking about today. Ramsey-Washington has not worked with them before, even though they've tried many times in their bids. But Bar has worked with them on a couple of projects. Some of our staff are working them on a MidNut project, and they've been fine to work with, from what we've heard. And you know, it's convenient when there's a contractor that we've worked with before and we have a known experience with, but in this case, we see no reason to go with a different bidder. And also, this project does not necessarily contain particularly complex fine-tuned work. So it's primarily about berms and a storm sewer connection. So we don't necessarily have any concerns about awarding this project, and they are a known contractor in the region. Any other questions? I guess I'll say that the bids all, for the most part, fell within the range we were expecting as well.
Distribution was less around our typical range than seen previously, but we're gonna talk about that this time.
Okay.
Any questions for this? Not, do I have a motion to award the project to New Look Contracting Inc. and direct staff to request the required bonds and insurance information next to the contract award?
Seconded.
Wonderful. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstain, say abstain. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the Lake Tobacco outlet replacement. In this, for this project, there were. I think, yeah, 4 bidders. And Pepper Companies was the low bid on this project. These bids did come in higher than our range, and we think that may have to do with some. These bids were opened just after the big storm event, and we are thinking that, I saw this in some of the bids that control of water and mobilization were the elements that were a little bit higher. So these folks were trying to be cautious with their bids. Pember is the contractor that did the failing power outlet structures. So when it comes to water control, this is a known commodity. And yeah, we just thought that the price being a little bit higher is probably involved with risk associated with managing discharge from Wabasso. It's kind of a tricky business, and we had just had a really big storm, so I'm thinking that's where that came from.
And I'll just add that this is a project that's being reimbursed by Ramsey County and that they have approved or said, you know, they were okay with the higher bid prices that came in.
Okay, so y'all already broke through.
Quick question, Aaron.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's hopefully challenging, otherwise potentially a problem for accessing the construction site, getting equipment in and out.
Separates 2 residential properties. And they have those wings, so, or at least that's how I read it, where it's like those might be interesting. What's all thought?
Yeah. Your purpose is the equipment?
Yeah, same. It's not enough.
It's what it's already. All right.
And these contractors would be aware of that. I mean, that is very clear. That when we put the documents out, they've signed off on the fact that they understand the site, they know what they're getting into, and they can't really say otherwise, so.
He's definitely got a full size truck down there for what they need, so small excavator and stuff like that.
Aaron, your last comment, like, is the concern specifically with Lake Wabasso, or is it just because of the high potential for high fluctuation? Yeah.
Well, I think anytime you're looking like an outlet on site, I mean, that's a controlling the water while you're doing the construction is an element that can add some complexity, and so. You know, my comments about the recent storm are just, you know, there was a recent reminder that a lot of water can come through these outlets, and so.
Yeah, so it
And we've
wasn't
had a wet-
specific. It wasn't specific to Wabasso, it was just.
It was not specific to Wabasso, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the project is an outlet. Big project, any outlet, the related project outlet.
Good history.
Yeah, they were those.
So. Do I have a motion to award the project to Pember Companies? And direct staff to request the required bonds and the transportation execute the contract for the work? Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Abstain. Moving forward to new reports and presentations, I believe we have a guest here.
Yeah, so we. Hold on a second here.
Skipping a turn.
So you skipped attorney report and board discussion,
Yeah.
but if you want to, it would be nice, maybe if we did this item first and then we can move back to those, is that okay?
I was rushing because I knew she was sitting behind me. So, yeah, why don't we do that? Is that okay, Lauren?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I'll be here.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have a cover memo in the packet along with the letter from Brett and Gabby regarding the Failing Creek project. The request in the packet is related to the support of the watershed in certain maintenance and inspection activities for the new outlet that's being proposed from Phelan as part of that project. The request comes not as a surprise. It was something we talked about, I think, last time they were here to talk with you all. And staff has been in many meetings over the last year, you know, discussing the project and the particular components of the project. So, you know, the request here is consistent with the discussions we've been having with them. And, you know,
Back last June, correct?
Yeah.
Or June.
yeah. Staff is already out in that area frequently. Because we have our own outlets and our own infrastructure there that we're inspecting. This doesn't really add a lot more to that work or staff. Yeah, I think that's all. Gabby, Brett, if you wanna introduce yourselves again, and then if you have anything you'd like to say about it.
My name is Gabby Newman. I'm the white copy, critical and is director of land environments and some the in charge of the project coordination and management on behalf of our nonprofit.
My name is Brett Husong. I'm a landscape architect and project manager with City of St. Paul's Parks and Recreation Department. So we're here to show our support with Gabby Walk on TP. The city has entered into development agreements with Walk on TP. I think since the last week we've been here. The city's role has been to provide support, community engagement, design. City also led the long range plan amendment for Salem Regional Park, so that is also something that has been approved since we've been here last through St. Paul City Council and through Metropolitan Council. So we've done a lot of work. I know Gabby has done a lot of work on her end, and we appreciate working with the watershed. This is the first 2 reaches, so we're excited that we're getting this far. We're entering into a maintenance and operations agreement with Walk on TP. A lot of these discussions are helping to refine the design. I think it's important that we get these 2 first reaches correct because we want to advance this as we go further down corridor. So we appreciate your support and we look forward towards future assistance and guidance on ongoing maintenance and other features.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. So we haven't reached the permitting phase yet. I think the letter said in the fall now we're looking at. So we're still in conversations about, that outlet design and just making sure that it meets our maintenance needs. And so far, that's the road, it's the way it's gone. One of the other things we talked about last time they were here was about the connection to the belt line at the other end of the project. And the staff has been happy to see that some of our comments have been taken into account in that too. So there's no direct connection to the belt line. They're connecting upstream of the belt line into another pipe system. So some of those concerns have been met as well. But we'll continue down that regulatory path too, as far as the permit goes. So you will see it again, as well as the maintenance agreement and how we're written into that as well. I think at this point, it was, just getting some feedback from the board, that you're supportive of us continuing down that path with this project.
It's just item 1 on the maintenance table.
Yeah.
For earlier discussions, I think it's a great program. Comments. But no, great.
Any other comments or questions?
And theoretically, this would just become a line item as we deal with maintenance.
Yeah, we'll have it on our inspection list and.
We can work through those details as well.
The other part of that outlet design is, the ability to shut it off if need be if there was high water level concerns about any localized flooding. We would work with the city and open or close that depending on the conditions. That's all planned for too in the current plans for that work, so. No concerns from the staff perspective.
Looks like a lovely lot. Any questions, concerns? Nice, we don't have any
Great,
comments.
you guys, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
This is gonna be fun to walk. Okay, I'd like to propose we jump back to Lauren, item 9. That's your briefly agenda.
Yes, we had a excuse me, kind of a busy month at the firm with Watershed District reviews on contracts and access agreements, and I know with a couple bids being accepted tonight, I'll have more contracts to review. So overall, I'd say kind of a high volume month for us, but all kind of good routine stuff, nothing that should make anyone on the board nervous. So yeah, all good from here.
Thank you. For discussion topics, I'm just gonna say this verbally, but when we go through the program reviews, really want to dwell a little bit on the operational support and communications section. I was out of state when we had a huge rain event, and I'm just, I know it's too early to claim a victory by any means, but I'm just really happy on how some of the focal points and things that we've done as a group or team. I think it mitigated some of the risks that we could face. And that's the only comment that I'm going to make on the discussions. We'll probably talk about it more as we go through the program setups and works. The last part is I don't want to speak for Mark or Stephanie, but I'm really excited about some of the other engagements. I just was energized by the watershed. So if you do get an opportunity, the bike ride, I'm pretty excited about doing that one. The bar trivia, it sounds fun if others are interested. Just to call, now is the time to interact with the public.
Quick question on the bike ride. I think it's 9:30 to 2:30. Is that kind of the full time? We can come kind of part of it of that scope.
So there's 2 separate rides, one starting at 9:30 and then another one starting at 2:30. They'll both last about 2 to 3 hours depending on pace and presentations. Cooper's been organizing the volunteer stuff. And if you are interested in volunteering, just let Laura know. And if you want to be on the bike ride, that's a possibility. We also have someone, I call it neutral support, which would be in a vehicle with tools, and if someone gets a mechanical that we can't fix, we can just give them a ride back to the office. So it's kind of whatever you want to do. But yeah, there's definitely room for volunteering.
But it'd be probably tough to join like mid-bike ride someplace because you don't know where you're gonna be yet. Yeah. Not 15 per se.
Yeah, there are 3 meeting points, which would be easy to kind of predict when we would get there. And it would be nice to have people there to help set up. We're gonna have like snacks and drinks and stuff like that at every stop.
That's all helpful. Thank you.
Any more discussion topics? Let's jump back to item 11B. That's up to Tina.
Yeah. Erin, are you planning on this? There's Marcy here. I don't see her on the call.
Marcy is not here, but I can talk it through if you like.
I can I'll start overview it, and then if there's technical questions, we can have Erin jump in, but
You can just jump to questions.
sure. Do you just have questions?
Yes.
That's fine. Yep.
I like the proposals for the investigation. Where does the heat come?
So it's integrated in the pavers, is that correct?
Yep.
How that works, so it's integrated into the paver so that it heats the paver surface.
Technology well, it's really interesting.
Kind of threaded through pavers and ties into the heating system.
Like a heat pump.
It's not a heat pump, I think it's tied into, I don't know if it's the existing
Electrical
system somehow, or there's lines that go through the pavers themselves, and then I don't exactly know what it looks like in the building, but
More of an air.
It was an air.
So it's not electric.
per se, as much as it's moving like warm air. It would- isn't that-
I will have to get back to you on that. That's a great question.
I don't know.
I
if
don't think
page-
it's air. Yeah, it's,
Or liquid, it's been warmed or something like that.
it could be some sort of a
Yeah.
glycol, yeah, I
My
don't
line
have that
of,
in
my line
here.
of questions is related to amount to, as we think through the system required, I just love to see more details.
Sure.
You guys go through it.
Mhm,
Yep.
For sure.
That is a reasonable question.
I think there's been several board members who have focused on some of the maintenance longer costs, it's
Yep.
not great, now. As we talk in here about, you wanna be an example, which I like. How are we gonna capitalize on that example? Be interested in understanding more, encourage others to do something. Like, can we line up a partner? For
Yeah.
like a school or something?
Yeah, this work plan, this is a scope summary work plan, really will investigate, yeah, how this will look, how we would use it as a demonstration and go from there. As it mentions in here too, we're looking at also doing some accessibility improvements. That was based on an accessibility audit that we did last year, last year. So we'll take advantage of that as well and potentially do some heated sidewalks, because that is definitely an ice issue for us in our walkway up to our door. As well as, improvements for wheelchair accessibility. And then the electronic vehicle charging station as well, so.
I just like the idea of, if we're doing it as practice, let's make sure that we get to the right groups who are also
Yeah.
interested in.
Who else is using this technology?
Paige, are you aware of anyone using the heated paper technology?
Yeah, I think there's a few locations around the metro. I don't know of any other public agencies. I know City of Roseville has looked into it. I don't know if they've installed any yet, but I know there are quite a few that, in talking to the paved drain rep, they have installed around the metro. Some larger parking lots and then some residential driveways.
Yeah,
It's not done yet, but I think the city of Woodbury did some of the heated.
It's not a paver system though,
Oh,
it's
okay.
different, yeah, walkway. But we can share some of those examples too, and we can get that information to you,
Yeah, excited about seeing how it's done.
Would there be any change, or do we need to think in the kind of scoping it? How snow is managed for the site? Are there any improvements that could be made?
Improvements. After, you mean after a system like this? is in place?
No, anticipating putting, redoing essentially the parking lot and sidewalks. And are there some things that could be improved in terms of snow management, thinking about, are there, even the footprint of the parking lot? I don't know, I'm just, because we've talked about snow management for other properties. I'm just wanting to bring that up, that ought to be something that's on page to be talked about, but.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think this would be a good opportunity to do a snow management plan or chloride, site-wide management plan for that. That's it.
Do we have, building on that, do we have metrics from our salt use so we can?
Yeah.
Straight,
Well, so currently we don't use salt
that's,
because we already have a previous system.
I was just thinking about the ice count.
Yeah, well, so we use grit on or the cherry stone on our walkway.
Okay.
So we don't use salt there either.
Thank you.
And actually, I mean, the use of heated paved drain or, permeable pavers in and of itself is a snow management boom. So I would expect that there would be less snow management.
Yeah, when we first put the parking lot in too, we had very little snow buildup on our parking lot at all.
Yeah.
And it melted quickly, and so we would anticipate some of that would kind of be restored.
Yeah.
So we'd have a little less, and then the heating element will help on top of that, but.
I'm way beyond my knowledge, but I suspect that it was designed to be fairly, shed one direction or, infiltrate. And because fines and other things, you
Yeah,
know,
right,
and it's
exactly.
it's kind of derated over time. Maybe in the design, think about we've got the swales on both sides, we want some water to kind of work its way off. There, you know, rather than have it just one way, maybe have it high, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember
Definitely look at all that.
Yeah, seeing like a snow storage presentation at the Minnesota Erosion Control Conference, and it was all about where you put your stockpiles, and
Yeah.
they already do put them near the curb line, near a drain, so that they're intentionally sheeting to that and not across the lot. So like we already do that as well, which is helpful to prevent ice. Yeah.
You don't need a motion associated to this, correct? It's just for information.
Yes. That's good.
Perfect, moving to administrative reports.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I gotta get up today. So I was up in Roseau for the Minnesota Watershed Summer Tour last or 2 weeks ago now. It was a great tour. They did a really nice job. It was very interesting. So the city of Roseau was, decimated by a flood in 2002. And so a lot of the tour sites and presentations were about the restoration of the town and the diversion. So they have a major diversion project. Tens of millions of dollars, I think up to $40 million in diversion work that has been done. Basically to reroute any floodwaters around the town instead of through it. And they've had a few instances where it's been tested, not to the same effect as the 2002 storm, but definitely has been tested and approved in that way. So it was very interesting. I mean, clearly it's a little bit different situation. They have a lot of open land that they use for storage of floodwaters. The watershed and city and counties have, built up big reservoir areas that they use during the flood events. So it was a great tour. Great weather. Actually, I was up there while we were getting all that rain here. So at least it was nice up there for that, but it's a good tour. Few upcoming things. You should have received an email from me about the Metro Watersheds meeting that's next week. I'll be on vacation, but Lauren Hazenson will be there to give a presentation on Waterfest and some of our community engagement efforts. So she'll be doing that, as well as there'll be some discussion on the resolution packet for Metro Watersheds as well. And we already touched a little bit on Watershed Week. Just want to put another plug out there for that. You get to extra celebrate Watershed Week with a board meeting that week. So let's see. So there's no questions about any of these other things. I can just move down to the budget. Okay, budget planning.
Yeah, that was difficult, so. Congratulations, 23 years.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I don't know where time goes, but it's been a great run.
Yeah, that's it.
That was it. I'm glad you found it. So I have my 2026 budget discussions memo, Gabby, for your benefit and for some of the newer members too. This is just a real basic overview, kind of high level, where things are at for this year, and then some of the bigger things that we're looking at for next year. Next month, we'll come forward with a table that will have dollar amounts put in. Again, that's preliminary, starting discussion. One of the things that we should talk about tonight, though, is kind of the board's take the temperature a little bit on budget and levy. Where you might be at as far as increase or keeping it flat. If there's any initial thoughts on that, I'd be happy to talk through those things, just so as we're planning, we can have our expectations set, and then I can prepare for you for what kinds of things were we planning or kind of on the docket, but might not happen if we have to keep it at a 0, or if you like to keep it at a 0, I should say, increase for the year.
Yeah, are you providing comments now?
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent for trying to keep it as flat as possible, just looking at. Financial planning, my own personal ones, looking to increase the cost, definitely. Ben last year suggested something though that I guess some optionality in terms of. You know, if we did hold it flat, if we increased by X, if we increased by X plus whatever, I would encourage us using that kind of framework.
Yeah.
Just to allow us to see some optionality when we start talking numbers, I think that's just a good pattern with the team.
Yeah.
Just personally looking forward, I think costs are just getting higher and it's challenging for all family.
There seems to be a lot of questions. There've been a lot of changes at the federal level, and at least for myself, but it seems others are still trying to sort of reconcile what that might look like. And it's going to affect different entities different ways, obviously. But it would be nice from the levy standpoint that keep it, down. I guess my perspective would be probably lower than where we were last year. Sort of flat, but low.
Yeah, and as Val mentioned, having those options, then, I mean, I can show what that would mean for our activities for next year.
I do appreciate the call out that there's potential outside grants that can come. I think this year as we look forward, the same for 5 years as well, I think makes think about it, given some of the federal changes. Think about the contingencies. I know you do, I just.
Yeah. One of the good things about living in Minnesota is that our legislature did, support the Clean Water Council's recommendations, so that grant funding, I don't know, Jen, if that's accurate, correct? They supported that, and so that kind of funding is stable for the next 2 years. But yeah, that's definitely, can you hand me the charging cord? That's definitely a consideration. I mean, at this point, we aren't pursuing any federal grants, or we don't have anything that we're concerned about from a federal grant perspective, but that does get passed down, to our state agencies. So we'll keep an eye on those things too and give an update on those if we have any.
I think in addition to the whole discussion about showing, what extra cost is if we were to increase levy, if there's any type of project prioritization we can get along with that, that would correlate to that. So that we can do kind of a cost benefit analysis of what we're getting for those dollars. Even if there's any type of nutrient reductions that are associated to see, if those fall within our normal ranges. I think that would be helpful as well, because it sounds like you are thinking of an increase, so.
And not necessarily, I haven't actually put all the numbers in yet, so I don't really know where we'll be at, but there's always, we have a whole list of things that we'd like to do. And some of it's timing too on how the projects are moving forward. So I mean, we'll only be proposing things that we think will be ready for next year, but and we have a pretty good rhythm on that. So I think when I get those numbers on the table next month, we'll have a better idea. But something we were gonna say. Yeah, we definitely, when we're proposing projects, that prioritization and the information that we pull out of our database for that will be shared with you. Sometimes it can be a little harder though to compare a water quality to flood control to, so some of those things we try and balance out too.
I think we have a tool that's just the exposure data. I think it's been our pathway looking forward, so we'll just keep going with that. I have, it's a comment that is born from the project summaries. It seems like I'm super excited about the monitoring with the lake level monitoring, about all those types of things. It does seem like those things break, at least more frequently than I personally was anticipating. So as you think through some of that? Do we need to prioritize there, or should we just acknowledge this is the reality of these types of things and figure it out?
Yeah.
It seems like there's some learned lessons that I assume you'll make in that big one.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's something, when I met with Bar last week or this week, I guess. We talked about that as well, because it's frustrating when there's always at least one that's.
Yeah. I read up another one.
Yeah.
I know, but-
Yeah, I know, but that is something I've asked Bar to think about.
Maybe we gotta look at technology.
Yeah, that's what I said. Exactly, yeah.
Or maybe there's things we need to put in place to protect those technologies.
Yeah.
Comfortable with
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't have anything necessarily to pull out for you. One of the state programs that I mentioned in there is the paid leave program, which will add to our salaries and benefits budget. But that's kind of TBD as far as how that works. So you'll see more information in that in August and September.
The TMDL reporting, do we foresee that coming? Or is it's been on pause for a little bit, do we see that?
Yeah.
In ramping 26?
The TMDL reporting or the SWIP
Oh.
or both.
I'm gonna give it.
Because the TMDL reporting there is, you've seen it in the, we've been doing some work with the modeling on the TMDL for the Mississippi sediment or TSS TMDL. So we're prepared, we're ready to report that as soon as they're ready to accept that information.
just need to know what format they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One last comment on the tour of the Cottage Grove area, I think it's such an impactful thing to be able to restore our wetlands, so. You know, if we are pushed to prioritize, just realizing the physical situation that we're all in. I love that program, but you know. We'll have to have that hard conversation with people next year.
Yeah, and I don't know that we'll be ready to actually do a restoration work in 2026, but just some
Maybe
planning.
like a feasibility.
Yeah.
I know we jumped to the budget one. Did you wanna assign the delegate piece?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, so that's going back to the Minnesota watersheds, the special meeting that's being held in August. That is an online virtual meeting at 10 a.m. on Monday, August 25th. We have 2 delegates that will have votes in that regarding the resolution approval or denial, whichever way it goes. So I just need 2 members or 2 board managers that would be able to attend that meeting, so I can let them know.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the table.
So ballot is, well, you'll need to like make a motion and approve those. Everybody's welcome to attend. It's just we would only have 2 votes from the watershed.
Yeah, I'd be willing to be an alternate if there's a need.
Okay.
It's great.
So if you want to just make a motion to set those delegates, that'd be great.
May I have a motion to set ISOL Benjamin Clark, Mark Gerns as the alternative for the Minnesota watershed delegation, legislation delegation.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye, all opposed say nay, abstaining says.
Great, and if anybody is able to attend the Metro watersheds, that might be a good place to have some discussion, and then I can have it on the agenda for the August meeting too, so we can. You guys can talk amongst yourselves about how to proceed with those 3. So the interesting thing, so the 1 and 2, I think are fairly straightforward. Resolution 3 was basically, they took a bunch of resolutions and kind of mixed them all together and I think made it a more robust.
I like how it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's more setting similar limits to what other permitting processes are.
Yeah. But we can talk about those next month unless you want to have that conversation now.
I encourage people to attend the. There's a watershed, sure. Unless other people have questions, I don't want to speak very well.
That's all I had then.
This is exciting, I think it's the first time we're doing this remote.
Yeah.
And doing it early, essentially.
And doing it early, yeah. Yeah, normally this would be done during the annual meeting in December. Which doesn't leave a lot of time for the lobbyists then to prepare a plan for the legislative session, so.
So does that mean that at the annual meeting that this component is essentially done, so there'd be room for other, or is it?
So
Would there be a need to kind of revisit?
So there is a process for if anybody wanted to propose another resolution at the annual meeting, so there is still a process for that. As well as this will be an opportunity then for the lobbying group for the Minnesota watersheds to share kind of their plan for the legislative session.
I think we still do plan on meeting during that period of time.
Mhm. Yeah, there's other business too that's done at that meeting besides the resolutions.
But that was definitely asked when Ben and I drove to where this was.
Yeah. So, yeah.
You would think that's.
No, I wasn't there, but.
Oh, yeah. You might add another one at the end, yes, it's a process. Jumping forwards. To the project and program status reports. I was hoping, Tina, that, well, maybe I'll open up for questions or comments, but Tina are talking about the agenda and various things. We thought it'd be really nice to add this section, so I greatly appreciate it. Kind of talking about the rainfall and some of the things that staff have to do. So, do you have any, I really appreciate the comments, I wish I could see the video of the failing. I mean, that's super. I remember touring it and being like, when will this ever be seen? To maybe
I don't know, we probably don't have video, we probably did it.
No, I like the pictures, I love.
Yeah.
I got a couple dad, but no, nothing going on and a couple people were, there was a lot of stuff, there was a lot of stuff to do short time, so.
Yeah. I saw your vehicle and you in it with me, yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I wonder what he was doing, it just looked very.
Very focused. I will follow up, Val, what you said earlier during the board discussion though, is I think it is apparent that the work that this board has approved and the work that staff has been doing over the last several years, you can see the effects of that. Well, just being able to open this outlet,
Yeah.
you know, because of the storm event.
Yeah, second that, for sure.
And seeing it work
Yeah.
as designed, as planned.
Did you use the app?
We didn't use the app because we got new work phones and the guys still getting them under. I feel this was the first time we used it, I wouldn't use it anyways, because I was there.
You wouldn't have-
Sarah was on the computer, trying the computer work remotely first, and then if anything, when I was like, okay, yeah, there's nobody standing here, there's nobody here, it's safe to do it. And then so he would operate it from this remotely from the computer as I watched and see everything happen most of it.
I was just so impressed. Having joined like because of some of the flooding experience for many of us. To see where we are now, it was just all great check. I think it's just a wonderful feeling to know that we took the opportunity during the non-wet years to do the important work. And so that
Well,
was,
seeing water levels on Jarvis specifically too, water levels compared to docks, how it was coming up, once we opened everything, on the water that was still coming in. Water levels on docks stayed there or dropped just ever so much, and we just didn't have that big influx of the 4 inches of rain that we had that. We would have been in a whole situation to where we were before.
really appreciate the staff. This was a big lift and it's good to see.
And it was really cool to see that it seemed to perform as designed.
Oh, 100%. You see it and it was cool, it was nice.
It's gratifying.
Yeah, it was nice to see.
Yeah, I was really excited to see this in the packet, and it's like, yeah, I was kind of wondering, because
Yeah.
last year we had a big event, and I asked the board meeting, hey, did we activate? No, there was no date.
So we had the gates open completely. So Thursday we opened them, and then we
Yeah.
had them open all day Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then we closed them on Monday. So, yeah.
Your discussions, this is one of those, we should definitely find ways as we learn more and figure out the effectiveness of this to help others through planning for their flood reduction, right? How many feasibility studies have we run today, Tina?
How many?
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot of work has gone into these, but you're right, you know, we've already been sharing, you know, about this
Yeah.
project, so this is a good follow-up on that.
I mean, you guys do great work. I can just imagine like a fire drill. But do you share this with like the homeowners associations on these things to say, you know, this happened?
It's a good question, we haven't directly, but I think that is a good outreach effort for sure. Like especially Jarvis, where we do have a few homes, 3 or 4 homes that are in the flood risk area. Yeah, and color, so that would be.
Because the only people that was like, I called the county and let them know, I called the city, kind of let them know. But it would be interesting to see if they, you know, the residents actually realize that, you know what they did to control the levels and save their docks and do that and see if they even realized if anything was done.
I shared this with the select couple groups, when I did this excerpt, I do think that outreach would be very valuable. Now, cities have a ton of things to do, and the likelihood of reaching all the different situations is hard, so if you know someone.
Yeah.
Specifically, those who are interested in data and have before and after, that's what I sensitively think.
That raises an interesting question too. And maybe you should know, but is there a communication process?
Well, definitely, so.
Is there
for
a need
this,
for one? Yeah.
I mean, not for this, because, I mean, so really the point of this is to let those waters out, right, before we get into a.
Right, but I guess I'm just, you know, Dave said he called the city, he called the county.
Oh, right,
And
yeah.
I'm wondering, is there a list
Yes,
of
yes.
authorities? Entities?
We have an operation plan that has.
Yeah, that, yeah, okay, just.
Yeah, and then, so if this were to be an event, and this event wasn't, this was a 5 to 10 year event. But if we were to have like an 100-year event where those homes, for instance, on Jarvis were at risk of flooding, there is an emergency response plan for that as well, and that's directed by the city, but we coordinate with them on that.
Which clearly had to experience that before, so you dropped down all the sand days, we all got together. and
Yes,
stand
that
up. Yeah, I was there, yeah.
Awesome, I just wanted to dwell on that, thank y'all for writing this, it's good. Moving forward to the other projects. Any questions?
See.
Okay.
Let me find it. The summary just, and maybe I should remember this, but the summary mentions data from 2024 is being used in modeling. Is that how far back in the data record is modeling included? It's kind of question. I'm guessing more than 2024.
Through 2024, so I don't know when it starts, our TSS data, our flow data, I guess. I mean, we've had flow data for a long time.
Yeah, and this work, you know, this is an example, this sort of harkens back to something we said earlier. So the compliance reporting for the South Metro Mississippi River TMDL has not been laid out by the PC in terms of what they want to see. So this is getting out ahead of it a little bit. What we wanted to do was look at, okay, we know what the threshold is meant to be in terms of gallons per acre. So how close are we? So this is just modeling to figure out, you know, through 2024, and I don't remember how far back we went, but you know, say 10 years, how close are we to that threshold? And early indications are that you may be under it, but it's a little too early to make that call, but regardless, we wanted to get the modeling underway. So that when we know what they'll be asking for, that can be turned around and ready to go. So, but I don't know how far back we looked, I could get that information.
Yeah, I was just curious.
Yeah.
By mentioning 2024, as Tina said,
Yeah,
2024.
how many
back,
years?
And
Yep.
I was just curious, all right, back.
Yeah,
Can I go backwards, back to 80? Just kind of a question, at what point in time? What triggered kind of the, well, I'll call the fire drill or the rain drill? Was it a forecast from NOAA?
It was actually the actual rain event or rainfall amount, and then the water levels on Phelan.
Okay, so you're responding in real time.
Yep, with the Phelan and Jarvis, yep, we had an eye like the day before, we're like, okay, tomorrow at 8 AM or with sometime over the night, we're gonna go, we don't have to come in at 3, but you should come in, 8 o'clock in the morning. We're just like.
and there's other trigger points on like Twin Lake or West Venice Lake where other things need to happen, and some of those actions are meant to be done by the city. For example, in Twin Lake, there's other emergency actions that could be put in place if it looks like West Venice Lake is about to start spilling.
Triggered by
into the
actual.
Twin Lakes.
Which we had to
Actual
do,
rain.
the city had to operate their Twin Lake outlet gate
Yeah.
because it was open, but because of the flow going down, we had to close that.
Yeah.
I think it is still
For
closed.
the operation right now.
Yeah,
Operations
yeah.
plan.
Yeah.
Correct.
So this was the first time that there was a storm big enough that we all felt like we needed to really watch for these trigger points. And in some cases, like the Phelan outlet, Twin Lake outlet, there were things that were meant to happen. Because the lakes were hitting certain levels.
Well, and the thing about those systems too is it doesn't hit instantly, right? So we know the rain event happens, and then we have, I don't know how much time before West Venice peaks and before
Weeks.
Phelan
Yep.
peaks, it's a week
Yeah.
of time, so it's.
Yeah,
It's like 23 days from Owasso to get to West Vadnais, and then another like 33 days from West Vadnais to get to Owasso, so there's time to go through the system and for us to respond.
and this is where the lake level stations, when they're working, are really helpful to just tune in and check. So that's why that information comes from. And even though like the West Venice gauge was down during that time, that's where Dave's the lake. So. Yeah.
I have a comment on G, that's something before G. As I think through the stormwater model of. I like that we're doing and increasing the span of model of that's a cool thing, and we should always be doing that. As we look through, I'm curious, is there a roadmap to other needs for expansions when you look out 2 years, 3 years, that kind of stuff? You don't have to have a definitive answer there, models, the data we're collecting with lake levels, the rain gauges, all those things will make us act more quickly with speed, decisiveness is what I like. And so as you guys approach it, I just would, maybe as a separate special topic, like we're expanding at this point here. If we want to get X, we expand in this there. I'm just kind of curious if you guys think about that strategically.
Well, I mean, just off the top of my head, a couple of things that I know will happen are, now that we got this big event, it allows us a chance to test some of our assumptions in the model for some of these areas. So anytime we get an event that triggers special things, it's an opportunity for us to look back and make sure that our models are acting the way that we would anticipate for those specific events. So that's something that I think is already potentially something we'll be looking at next year, especially in those critical areas. But the other thing is that in 2 years, the precipitation record, we had Atlas 14 where we did big updates. Atlas 15 is coming in 2 years, and so that will be an opportunity, depending on how all that comes out, to update certain areas of the model. So for example, with Atlas 14, that was a really big change in the amount of rainfall that was predicted for those design storms. And so we had to expand your models to accommodate all that extra storage, all those different flow paths. To contain, if you will, all the water that's falling in that model. We don't know if Atlas 15 will be like that. But regardless, we'll be running that new precipitation design data through your models and figuring out where adjustments need to take place. It's also an opportunity if there have been big changes in the watershed due to projects or, you know, changes in the watershed itself, drainage areas, what have you, to update those things in the model too. So I wouldn't anticipate necessarily that, other than this particular work that's described in the status report. Oh, yeah,
Where I was
the
triggering
one
off
area
of.
about, yeah. I don't know that next year anything huge is planned outside of this work, but 2027 will probably.
I don't think.
Yeah.
My next question is on Q. I've been following the Pioneers stormwater reviews. I'm really excited about it. You really have good staff and bar having plans to do a good tour of it. It hasn't been enabled. Turned on. It's underuse. I wasn't sure and it wasn't clear when I went back.
At least over.
Yeah,
See how we know we did this final test, we went through everything, we
Yeah.
looked at everything, the city at that day, they had a control panel that they wanted in the building itself, so that was. Our stuff was all ready, but then they wanted to update that, and it's.
Yeah.
It's operational.
Yeah, so it-
And yeah, my understanding was that at the end of May. Started up.
Okay, oh, okay, so when you say that
Yes,
this
it's
is a
startup.
startup, hey, it's going, I just was curious with the extra work that's being done, some of the storage. They've stopped it or not.
That's my knowledge.
They might not, yeah, I guess I don't know 100% because they did do some pipe work, the city did some extra work in the park, and they operate their sprinkler system.
I just was curious, I didn't connect that that means it was on permit, I just knew we had approved a couple of the things that were going in. Okay. So the grant that I referred to earlier is the NPCA for the REAM PFAS funding.
Yeah.
I know we talked about that earlier, I'm
Yeah.
really excited about that.
Yeah, so we're excited to hear. It was supposed to be June and now it's July, so
Oh, we haven't, so
we don't know. Yeah, we're still waiting to hear if we have been approved to submit an application. So it's not even,
that's a different step.
it was
Okay.
like a letter of interest for submitting a grant application, so we're
Give
submitting.
you permission to ask.
So there's a few steps to go yet on that one, but we'll keep you updated as we hear. But
There's tons of new literature on the PFAS stuff.
Yeah.
Which is, that field is moving super fast.
yeah, we've got on the docket, maybe in a couple of months to have a presentation again, kind of on where we're at with PFAS, so.
Next comment is on Z. Funny, both of them, Emma. Sorry. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we've got all of our interns are on board and working hard, so it's been a good season.
I really like the Killer Lake Shore numbers, by the way. Yeah, the numbers speak volumes.
Yeah, just a comment, one of the highlights of Waterfest and talking to folks about what they enjoy, and seeing the huge membership with Long Lake Failing and amount of enjoyment that they, the residents receive and just biking through that area, and just even last weekend, there's tons of folks.
Yeah.
And people stopping, taking photos of the blooming flowers. It's a huge community asset.
Yeah, it's that way pretty much every weekend and even.
Yeah.
during the week.
Yeah.
Always busy.
Easier to check out. Also, for some like shore replacement too, like I see. Yes.
Yeah, it looks really good. Lauren just put up some drone footage on our social media. If you want to check that out.
I didn't get to watch, I jumped down to the communications
Mhm.
section. I didn't get to watch the news, the alarm was on there, right?
Yeah, for Waterfest.
For Waterfest.
Yeah.
Do you have a recording of it?
On YouTube, I think.
Is it on
YouTube?
YouTube?
Okay.
You're in canoes, yeah.
It was good.
I still look really fondly about it, I totally. Stuff, so just, and the number of people who don't live in the area who come to Lake Phelan, that was really.
Yeah.
Awesome to meet that group. Last thing, just to call attention, I find repetition important, maybe we just, but the upcoming community events, there's really good ones. Big Woods is close by and it's a good place, so.
That's for water trivia, that Bigwood Brewery on Thursday, August 7th.
Well, let's just show.
Yeah, it's right up. From my husband's birthday, I'll make him go.
Ensure that they set out the tents.
Yeah.
No coverage.
So.
It's very little coverage. Yeah, other than that, Market Fest, you have the booth manned and all that fun stuff.
For which one?
Market Fest.
Yes.
31st.
Yeah, one of our communications team will be there.
Is it just the 31st or is it? Because that goes all through end of June to July.
Yeah, I think for us to be there, we'll just be there on the 26th. Oh, yeah, Market Fest. I'm sorry, 31st, yep.
Cool. Say
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, and BB, did Carrie capture notes on the Waterfest feedback from CAC, or then did you get to attend the CAC and maybe hear some of the insights for Waterfest?
I was not at that CAC meeting. I had a emergency contractor at my house, so I was not there.
Unfortunately. I'd love to hear. At some point.
Yeah, I'll ask.
Sort of the management,
The CAC,
Waterfest.
the Waterfest logistics.
Stephanie, were you at that meeting? It says one representative from the boards.
it's there, but.
Yeah.
So you were talking.
I don't know.
The Waterfest.
Waterfest.
Logistics and implementation.
Yeah, I'm just curious how they thought it went, haven't gone a few years now, like, we didn't get to walk around as much as typical, but I think it looked really well.
Really well attended, yeah.
So I was just curious if they had any insight, we can ask Carrie, I'm sure she has notes.
Yeah.
I don't think, no, I don't recall any specific.
Yeah, that's same.
Comments.
Very reasonable.
I did also attend the watershed partners meeting on Ford Drive. I saw Carrie and Tracy. So. I always find, just a comment, I always find those a little awkward. Because everybody piles onto the boat and people don't talk to the people that they came with. Until you force yourself to have some conversation. Which I have no problem doing. And I felt really good say, Carrie was talking to a gentleman, asked him, so what brings you here? Apparently he was one of the founding members for Hamilton, so here I am. Just a really interesting group. I think they could do a lot better job at getting people to just talk to each other rather than just listen to whoever the speakers are, because there's a wealth of knowledge and experience.
Right. Questions on the rest of the programs? If not, we're managing.
Just one more thing, sorry. Ioni online left a chat and just said Waterfest was great. Hit up Costco, Robert at Maplewood. He is a marketing manager. Just wanted to read that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, one last thing on Waterfest. I actually did go around and I recognize his face because I did him.
I think I did too, now that he said that about Costco. He's off now, he's dropped off. Yeah. Yeah.
Very. Just.
Great. You made your comments for about next month's meeting. Still encouraging folks to go to the Minnesota Watersheds meeting if possible, just to get a sense on what the conversation is, it puts a flavor on what is to come in August, I think. I think we will still touch base in the resolution. Yeah. Awesome. Do I have a motion to adjourn? No. And a second?
Second.
The meeting adjourned.
Thanks
Thank you all.
for.
Connected to the gas. So I don't have more specifics about that, but pay drain is connected to gas.